The biggest problems facing our district. What? Yeah, what are our biggest challenges and what's the biggest issues in our district?
I think one of the biggest issues that face our district, besides healthcare reform, the issue of condo associations. With this real estate downturn, there's a lot of empty condo buildings. And one of the things going on out there is because people are being foreclosed on or walking away from these units, all of a sudden you have these big condo buildings that have huge homeowners association obligations, and that's hitting all the other homeowners in the area. Now, I don't know if that's happened in Wynmoor here, where you have empty units, but now what happens here is the bank takes possession of those homes and those condos, and guess what? They're not responsible for your homeowners association fees. That home will end up getting auctioned off or foreclosed on. The bank has first lien in that property. The bank gets as much money out as they can, and the homeowners associations don't get anything. So I believe that's one of the major issues that all of us feel here in this age demographic. The second major issue is in jobs and your children, your grandchildren. So jobs is a key issue here. And at the Boca Raton debate, there's a key difference between me and Mr. Lynch. And you can see this on my website at joebudforcongress.com. There's a video clip. We were asked a question about jobs. Mr. Lynch stated that we hear a lot of talk about jobs that have gone overseas. And I think I'm getting it here pretty accurate of exactly what he said. I don't care about jobs that have gone overseas. You can listen to that on my website. Right on the front page, there's a YouTube video. The key here is, he said that we should have tax credits and incentives for businesses to create jobs. Well, I disagree with him. I care about jobs that have gone overseas. You see, if we give tax credits and incentives to businesses to do hiring, well, that's fine. But what if they don't have any new money to actually hire people with? But if you give them tax credits and incentives to bring those jobs back home, they're already spending that money. They'll take advantage of those tax credits and incentives, and we'll have an immediate impact on employment. So that's the second issue. Thank you.
Forgive me if that's a difficult question to answer in a minute and a half or 2 minutes. The first issue I look at is the overall economy. And even though it's a big issue, it affects us here because we have over 11% unemployment now. And what happens is if we don't stop this spending, we're going to collapse our system by everybody's math. So the first thing that we have to do is put a stop to this unending spending and the thought that we can keep on printing money that makes the dollars that you have in your pocket worth less. I have a program here which I call Scrap on the Back, which will tell you, it's a plan, it's going to tell you what my principles are and my standards are for dealing with bills. I want a freeze on as many programs as I can in the federal government. We must get our spending under control. Because if our system begins to collapse, it doesn't make any difference about our differences. Second, of course, in this district here, healthcare has to be a major issue. And I think both of us or all three of us are pretty much in the same boat. I would vote against this healthcare bill completely and start all over again. This is just a bad bill, and because they have good provisions in it. Listen, I have a moral obligation to you, and my moral obligation is very simple. It's my job to take your tax money that is given to me and get $100 out of $100 worth of tax dollars. Creating 100 new bureaucracies is not a good way to do it. Putting the government in control, if you can show me where the United States government has done well in a program, I'll go and have the United States government run that program. Barack Obama understands that, and that's why he said in his speech to New Hampshire on August the 14th that UPS and FedEx are doing fine. It's the post office having problems. Well, what does that mean? He understands it. Then, of course, we have over 11% jobs. Jobs are going to come in different venues, and forgive me, I'm just going to glance over this because of the shortness of time. Condos that Joe said, of course are. Do you know that our foreclosures are up after all this money that's being spent by the government? A year later, foreclosures are up 21%. Finally, in this area, Chinese drywall is one of the major issues that you have in this district. There are areas in Parkland, Coral Springs, Boynton Beach, where that is the main issue for a lot, where the Chinese went and dumped a bunch of their junk in our place, and it's making our citizens sick, and our government is